Perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining today's virtual coffee chat. My name is Tori. I'm a recruiting coordinator on the employer relations team with Career and Professional Development Services. So for today's topic, we will be having a panel discussion about the ASU Mentor Network and talking about mentorship as well. So we have 3 panelists joining us for our panel discussion. We have 2 professionals, and then we also have a student from ASU who will kind of provide different perspectives of what mentorship looks like and a little bit more information about the ASU Mentor Network for those who maybe do not know what the Mentor Network is about. So before we kick it up with the discussion portion, I wanted to introduce our 3 panelists who will provide a brief overview and introduction for themselves. So first, I want to introduce Audrey Yoon, and she'll kind of introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey Young. I'm a licensed professional counselor down here in convenient Chandler, Arizona, just south of ASU. In addition to cognitive behavior therapy, I provide clients with a variety of different kinds of disorders, the comfort that they seek when they're coming out of their shells to connect. And in addition to that, I work with a number of young professionals and coaching them into private practice, and I maintain a suite for them to be able to see clients face to face. I've enjoyed working with a lot of ASU students as well. I've had some paid internships and have been able to really cultivate an interest in both the field of psychology and just the profession of being in business as well. So I'm talking to you all.
Thank you, Audrey. And then next we have Mark Gracie, and he'll provide an introduction for himself.
Hi, this is Mark Gracie. I'm the Vice President of Software Development for Analytics at Oracle Corporation. I currently have a son, Alec, who's in his sophomore year there at ASU studying political science, which is one of the reasons why I joined the mentor program. Prior to Oracle, I worked at Intel, which I'm sure you've all heard of, and even more so at Microsoft and Windows, and spent a lot of years in the Xbox group. So really definitely enjoy mentoring. I do it for a couple of schools, ASU being one of them, and just really enjoy giving back and bringing up the next generation, so to speak.
Thank you, Mark. And then last but certainly not least, we have our student panelist, who his name is Mike Jane. So Mike, can you provide an introduction for yourself as well?
Thank you, Victoria. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you guys had a good, awesome Easter weekend. So I'm Mayank, a computer science graduate student at Arizona State University. I'm currently working as a part-time computer science tutor, where I help undergraduate students with principles of programming language and other courses and queries regarding that. And I have had like 3 years of experience before joining ASU, mostly into software development. And I joined ASU just to know more into this field where I could actually use data to enhance the user experience and comprehension. So that's pretty much about it. Thank you.
Thank you all for your great introductions. So now we're going to kind of go into the discussion portion where I have a list of pre-made questions I'm going to ask our panelists to just answer about, like I said, the topics will be the ASU Mentor Network and just mentorship in general. And then this will be about 40 minutes or so. And then after that, we'll open it up for our audience members to ask questions for our panelists. So for the first question, I think it's very important for audience members to learn more from you 3 about why you joined the ASU Mentor Network. So for you guys, why did you originally join the ASU Mentor Network?
So let me start with that. So currently I'm into my 2nd semester of the master's. So I'm currently looking for summer internships and have been struggling while finding the right combination or the relevant connections to move forward with it. So I've, in search of these relevant career opportunities and connection, I came across the ASU Mentor Network, which I feel is a one-stop solution for ever-changing career path. So I found it really helpful because the platform, using this platform, are connected with a lot of people like-minded people because I was looking into software development. So now I see a lot of data scientists or data related fields, guys, but I wanted that connection so that I can understand how the industry, what's the demand in the industry currently, and just go through, like, I wanted to know how my resume should be or what my cover letter should look like. So that I could appeal the right audience. Or for me, the right audience would be an employer or a recruiter or a technical recruiter. So I've been using this platform on my day-to-day basis so that I can get connected to the right people. And recently I had a mock interview so that I could prepare for my actual interview. So that was a really good experience from my end. So I'm looking forward to using more and learning more regarding this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your answer. That was great, just for our audience to know that, especially for the ASU Mentor Network, it's more than just it's not a traditional like recruiting platform. It's more of a mentorship platform where you can build meaningful connections, build your network, and also to finding mentorship opportunities. Mark, Audrey, is there anything you would like to add already on top of what Mike shared about kind of like why he joined the ASU Mentor Network?
Go ahead, Audrey.
You want me to go, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate what Mike was saying because prior to COVID, I was working with interns, and it didn't matter if they were psych majors, business majors. I've had chemical engineering majors. They were interested in just learning what the professional realm, how to run and manage their lives in an office, how to interact with consumers, and I was thrilled to do this and provide this work, and then suddenly it all like crashed to an end. I end up completely virtual as a provider, and one of my fears was that without that contact with ASU, besides my daughter who attends, I wasn't going to know what was relevant to students when finally the quarantine period was over and what they were going to need. So when I picked up on this invitation to join the Mentor Network, I was really excited to once again like kind of be plugged into what ASU was cultivating in terms of students, what they were looking for out there, and how I could help, whether it's in my field or just kind of bridging some of their apprehension about the future. So
I can relate to that. So
yeah. For me, the reason I joined, well, one, my son goes to ASU, and so I was always looking to support his school. And so my wife and I are part of the family council, and we do a lot of activities with them, helping other families. And I joined the mentor program. In my career, I've had several interns that we've had on the teams, and one thing that I always found with a lot of them was the lack of, like, to Audrey's point, what really is happening in the industry? Like, what really do I need to do to set myself up? I mean, yeah, I can talk to my advisor and they'll tell me the courses or this or that. And then there are student services that tell you some things, but I've never met a student that actually got what I would call the right answers from the school. And not that I don't think the schools are lacking, but the schools aren't in the industry day to day. And so I joined because I wanted to be that sounding board for students to say that, how do I get it? How do I get an internship? I've had kids reach out to me for internships, and some that, I've then came on and hired after they graduated. I've had, students want to talk just about what courses really should I take? I mean, yeah, I have all these courses to choose from, but I'm interested in this type of field. So what would you suggest? And, I've helped kids, pick courses, and tell them, like, all right, you'll get this out of this. I think this is relevant, things like that. Or how do I even present myself, to get myself started? And so, there's so many things and so many questions that I know students have across, such a vast array of topics. And, for me, part of what I've always felt in my career as being successful was always my willingness to share all the knowledge I've always had along the way. And, now that I'm coming to the end of my career, I have a lot to share, and so I want to get it all out. And so as much as I can help, students and share the knowledge I have and help them get started, that's really is very important to me at this stage in my life.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you all. That was some great information about kind of like why you joined the ASU Mentor Network. And then for our audience, especially for those that maybe don't have a lot of information or know much about the ASU Mentor Network, I kind of wanted to show you guys what the homepage looked like. And so we do have a brief kind of clip I wanted to show you that kind of shows the homepage of the ASU Mentor Network, that some of those different tabs that you can view. And then also just kind of provide more insight into who can join the ASU Mentor Network and what you can kind of contribute to that. So Courtney, would you be able to show the clip for the video, please?
Hi there. My name is John and I represent the Career and Professional Development Services team here at Arizona State University. Today we'll be talking about the ASU Mentor Network. The ASU Mentor Network is an awesome online platform that allows you to connect with fellow ASU alumni, faculty and staff, and career professionals as you support current students and alumni who aspire to learn from you. You have the ability to engage with and give back to the ASU community by providing mentorship, industry insights, professional development tips, or even sharing your own journey to any who might be interested. This is your chance to inspire by example. Maybe you've got some amazing career advice that you want to share with as many people as possible. As a mentor,
Great, thank you. So as you can see with that clip, you got to see kind of like the homepage of the ASU Mentor Network. There are some different tabs, such as there's a tab that kind of provides more insight into being what kind of is a mentor. You also have like your FAQs page as well, where you can kind of get some more information about what the Mentor Network consists of. And then kind of going into our next question, I would like to ask our panelists, especially being on the ASU Mentor Network and providing that expertise and kind of providing advice to our students, not just for the industry that they're interested in pursuing in, but just also for their professional development. What does it mean to you to be a mentor, or what does it mean to kind of just have that mentorship experience for our students?
I'll start. For me, just having someone to talk to in my own life, right? You have questions, you need some answers, you have people you want to go to. The Mentor Network, students have questions, and there's a vast array of them. The value of the network that I think, and I'm not sure if everyone realizes it, it's not just about necessarily a career or this or that, but there's a lot of folks on the network with a vast array of experiences. I mean, Audrey and I have completely different experiences, and we both have something to offer. And I would say to a student, talk with both of us. It's not just let me go find a mentor, but let me find a grouping of mentors, a network of mentors, and that can help me with different things. Don't like undervalue what you can get out of the Mentor Network. It's not just about a career or this one thing. There's a lot of folks on there with a lot of experience.
Piggybacking on something you said, Mark, about entering into the field, the practical part of what you've been spending all these years studying, the theory, the academic part, I totally can relate to that. I think that as a mental health provider, a psych major undergrad, master's in counseling, I was well set to be an academic and a researcher, and I had at least 2 courses in statistics, and none of that's applicable as a real world practitioner. I had 0 accounting, I had 0 marketing, I had 0 knowledge of even where to begin to understand what a commercial lease looks like. But a tool like the Mentor Network would, if I had use of that back in the day, would have connected me with people like you, Mark, who are VPs in major companies who know exactly, what steps might be applicable for me, where I could go. And you could lead me along that path, or you can kind of encourage me along. And that's another role that mentors do. We don't always give you the answers you seek, but we can help you figure out where you should go to look for them, to actually build on your skills. As a protege, your role is like prime to just kind of tap into research and knowledge that's out there, but also to, further enhance your ability to think for yourself about how you can navigate and where you can go when you find that you kind of like got sunk or stuck in the mire. And then to know that you're not out there all alone, that there are people who've probably been there before you and have years and years of knowledge that they're willing to share. That the world isn't just a cold place, that you're not just popped out of there, and you're not just assigned to one person. One mentor may not have had all the experiences you need. With a network like this, you can really connect with people who, have had a whole spectrum of experiences, and some of whom might even have different opinions to help you kind of navigate along your way.
Yeah, I mean, I had someone reach out to me a month ago. It was folks from the other college I do this for, and they were actually graduates, and they had a startup going, and they were to the point where they couldn't figure out what price to sell their product at, and that's what they wanted to talk about. How do we go about setting our pricing? And and so my point to tell that story is, there's all kinds of things that mentors can tell you along the way, and finding somebody or finding a few people and building a relationship with them and growing your career with them. You find the right one, they'll stay with you. They'll stay with you forever. And it's really invaluable.
So yeah, I would like to add up on that. So when I came into fall in the middle of the pandemic, I joined ASU. So I really don't have any idea what subject should I choose, where I'm going to take my career from. Since I have 3 years of experience that was into full stack development, regardless of the front end, back end, or database. But when I came here, I came to know the importance of data. So I'm majorly a front end developer on the React side before this. So when it comes to user experience and comprehension, data is the key. And that was being told by one of my mentors when I was preparing for my resume. I showed them my resume. So he told me that in the fall semester, you worked on such projects that leverages data analytics. Why don't you mention them? So it was a big resume. So I didn't want to, I had no idea what all points are relevant. So that really helps when it comes to finding out the relevant part or information that you want to represent to a particular employer. So that is really helpful. And I've been I had this mock interview where he told me that these are the points that you need to highlight because this is what the industry is demanding right now. So yeah, I'm really thankful to the whole ASU Mentor Network. A lot of people I'm connecting each day. It's really a good experience learning from them.
Have you found yourself mentoring younger proteges yet?
Yeah, I told you I'm working as a computer science tutor. So what all experience I have and what all things I've learned from my past, maybe undergrad or industry experience, I help them with the same thing here at the Fulton Schools of Engineering and Tutoring Center. So it's not just one-way process, it's all mutual, but keeps on going. So learning never stops, regardless.
So it's a trickle down effect, really.
Yeah.
Where you're beginning, you're picking up and taking it yet another step forward, and then it just enhances the experience of the undergrad, right? My son's about to be a computer science engineering major. He starts in the fall. He's very excited.
That's great.
And he's equally parts, freaked out about actually achieving it, right?
So I've been there when I was undergrad. I didn't know about the industry, how the things work. So here, there's a lot of exposure and there's a lot of knowledge, and I keep on learning and sharing those knowledge to my undergrad peers or my peers in the same graduate. So it really helps. There's always a room for improvement, I would say.
Another thing I think that students, I talk with kids about is how to apply what they know to getting a job that's not in the major that they have. I've met so many students that come out of school that have degrees. And, a guy that works for me, I've known him for years. We met, years ago back at Xbox. He has advanced degrees in microbiology, right? So he works on my team at Oracle, and he runs, part of an engineering group. Nothing to do with microbiology, but there are transferable skills and the things that you learn. And that's one of the things that I talk with students about. A kid that I hired last year, he has a degree in finance. And what he does in my group has nothing to actually do with finance. But what I talk to him about is that, look, these are the skills that you have. This is what's transferable. This is the things you can build off of. You've got these types of skills that are valuable. You just don't realize it because you're so focused on, well, I have finance, therefore I must be finance. It's like, no, you learn this, you learn this, you learn this, and to your point, Mike, it's like, these are the projects you did. Those translate into actual usable soft skills or hard skills, and showing students those paths to say, hey, don't freak out. You actually are more valuable than you realize. You learned more than you think you learned. And let me kind of show you what I mean by that. And it really, it can really open your eyes to more possibilities, and kind of lessen the stress, getting into the workforce.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I see to a problem, you get a different perspective of looking at a problem, because when you know the end-to-end flow of a thing, you can think it other way around, or just like the way you're thinking. So that has been my experience in the past. So I'm currently working on that. So I keep on updating myself with the latest information.
And one size doesn't fit all. It's like, your resume for one company, it doesn't mean it's your resume for the next. A mentor can really show you how to tailor your cover letters and tailor your resume to the job you're trying to get, to highlight the things that are relevant to that job and bring out those qualities that you have. And, getting a good mentor can help you with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you all. That was great insight you all provided, kind of talking about kind of like what it means to be a mentor and kind of providing that mentorship to other students and professionals. And especially, I wanted to share a clip with everyone that kind of is an important tab, I feel like, for students on the ASU Mentor Network, and it's the Make a Connections tab. And this is a great location in the Mentor Network for students to see what different professionals kind of that are in the mentor network that they can learn more about, and kind of start developing that kind of like mentorship group, get some different feedback and insight into different industries. Kind of like Mark and Andre, you mentioned, you love to connect with students that are kind of outside, for example, like the psychology major. So you're willing to connect with anybody, whether it might be resumes, professional development, even just insight into the industry that they might be interested in pursuing. So I definitely wanted to share like a brief clip about the Make It Connections, just so for professionals to kind of see what students can do in the platform, and then kind of like what the view looks like from there. Courtney, can you please share the Make It Connections clip?
File your own. One of the best and easiest ways to mentor a student is when they make a connection with you. A mentee will click the Make a Connection tab and be able to filter through mentors by location, industry expertise, majors, and more. However, please remember that mentees will reach out to you, the mentor, first. So the more info you include about yourself on your profile, the better chance you have of making that connection.
Thank you. And then this question is specifically to you, Mayak, especially when you use that Make It Connections tab in the Mentor Network. What do you look for in regards to who you want to connect with as for professionals, or who do you look for, or what kind of information do you search for to determine who would be a great fit for a mentor for you?
Okay, so whenever I search on in the Mentor Network, there's a curated list of content. I can see that a lot of filters. You can just swipe down and drop down, use the drop downs, choose the industry that you're interested into. Usually I choose somewhere related to software technology or development, because that's my focus area currently. And then moving on, you can get alumni from ASU who are working into different industry if you're targeting some particular companies that you have interview with, so that you can learn about the background of the company, how is the work there, what's the work culture. That's what my major focus is. So I connect with those people whom majorly into the industry where I am planning to put a foot into. So that's how I see that. So that's it.
Thank you. And then the next question, I kind of want to ask our panelists, when you're using the ASU Mentor Network, beyond just for mentorship or building your network and making those meaningful connections, what are some of the favorite things you like about the ASU Mentor Network? And like I said, this can go beyond just mentorship. It might be, you might use some of those different tabs to just engage with our student network, kind of like your student population. What does that look like for you?
I don't use it a lot. The only time, honestly, that I am on the site beyond when students reach out is when there are questions that drop in my email that say, hey, somebody posted a question to the forums, and then it gets routed over, to respond to. I try to make a concerted effort to do that, to answer those questions, since they're kind of general questions that get posted. But honestly, beyond that, I mean, I don't use the site itself, as a mentor.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to use it in that way either. Although I see myself reading the posts that other mentors have already put out there before I make my responses sometimes, because it gives me a moment to pause and think, and kind of stretch I can be real impulsive and answer from the gut, but like sometimes I just kind of want to stretch and say, could I take this a little further? And in that way, professionally developing. So I could definitely see that. Also, one of my first reasons to even pursue this was to see, there's this concept of a virtual internship. What does that look like for people? What are people doing? How could I pull that together? Is it possible in my field to do that? So I was kind of tooling around a little bit in November, trying to kind of explore that idea and see where that would lead me, just in case this never let up.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that. I mean, I struggle with that as well, because we have interns, students reaching out, and putting something together that can be done remotely without any real direction is a challenge. And honestly, in my personal view, I almost think it's a disservice to students. I don't think the point of internships had anything to do with doing them virtually. And so I hope we get past this. I don't think it's the value that students they're looking for, obviously.
Well, traditionally it's not, but if the workplace is now permanently going to change to embrace telecommuting, for example, it could be that this becomes kind of a new way of exploring things. Not the only way, not a replacement way, but maybe a nice way for a student who doesn't have a car to get off campus to plug themselves in and get some real world working experiences. Not all these students are coming from backgrounds, like mine, where I had my first job at 15. A lot of them were able to kind of stay home and do their homework and play a sport instead. So, an internship might be their first real experience with clocking in and clocking out for someone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I totally agree on that, because I came into the middle of the pandemic and I had really been doing everything virtually since then, like classes and stuff. But recently, after getting vaccination, I've been going to the campus, interacting with the students whom I tutor. So that makes a lot of difference. That connect that I feel when you are in person makes a lot of difference, because you can easily convey your idea right there and there using board or markers, which might take some time when you converse with them virtually. So I think that has a huge impact. And plus the exposure. So you get to know about new things whenever you go out or work with people collaboratively. So I totally agree with Mark that we need exposure in person, not virtually as of now, since we have been long gone through with this pandemic, sitting at home doing things.
Definitely. And like you mentioned, you guys all made a very great topic and point in about this. And so, especially kind of as we went from like pre-COVID to kind of more of like virtual right now, how have your mentorship conversations been supported while we're kind of still navigating this hybrid type of modality?
For me, it really hasn't changed because the mentorships have always been over Zoom, with students wherever they were. And so that in and of itself hasn't really changed for me. There's a couple of folks here locally that I've mentored for a while, and we've actually gotten together, for social distance coffee as well as over Zoom. It just depends. So I don't know that will necessarily change, because it's just easier from a mentor perspective, if we can meet face to face, great. If not, Zoom is fine too. It's getting started that's important. Once you get started, then however you do it, it'll work itself out.
Yeah, so that was my experience because I wasn't getting started with the virtual confrontation interviews, because back in India where I'd have had 3 years of experience, that was all in person because that was pre-pandemic thing, and getting prepared for these virtual interactions to open up, that was really helpful through these mock interviews throughout the ASU Mentor Network. So I've used ASU Mentor Network for getting the mock interviews, for my resume review, and everything. So career advice has one of the things I've been really looking forward and learning from the mentors.
No, all of my mentorship work has been face-to-face, either professional coaching or working with the ASU interns. So I didn't even join the Mentor Network until COVID was already here and everything was virtual. So I can't really speak to how it's changed. Just that the return to kind of that bulletin board style of interaction became a thing. The social media aspect of putting together a professional platform was a curiosity and interest. It's very cool that you guys have taken this on and furthered it.
Great, thank you all. And then like you guys mentioned, it's very important once you kind of get the first part of the conversation going, it gets much easier from there, building your network and kind of building that relationship further. Before we transition into the Q&A portion of the event, I wanted to ask our panelists one final question. And this question is, what advice would you give to other professionals who are just starting out in the ASU Mentor Network? What kind of tips or best practices would you provide them to help them get the first steps into Mentor Network, and then what can they do to kind of, once they're joined, what they can do to kind of connect with the student and other professionals in the platform?
Well, I was thinking about some tips. Mostly this is for, the professional that's working independently, not as a representative of, a big company, because if you were, I would suggest check in with them first, make sure there aren't any guidelines that they need to follow. But definitely I encourage you to complete your profile right away and make it as rich as you can. That's the only way that you can really put yourself out there enough that people will be interested in connecting with you. And then if you're nervous, connect with me, because if a lot of people, they fear like starting something new, they're not going to have any friends. That idea also exists in the virtual realm. Right away, I'll be your friend on this mentor network. It's fine. Doesn't matter, if you're some biology major, it's fine. Then take some time and scroll through all the discussions that are already in place and add your 2 cents. People are interested in what you have to say, and you might become interested in what they have to say.
So yeah, I agree on that. So completing the profile is the first thing I would say everyone should do, because I missed off a lot of points in the initial. So you do not get the curated content that is very relevant to you. So suggestions and everything works on what profile or what information have you feed to the system. So that's the first thing I would suggest, just fill in every information of yours, regardless. You have worked on a project for a small time, but that matters a lot. So everything should be highlighted so that you get the system could actually give you the curated content based on that. So every suggestion or industry that you're targeting will be based on your profile. That's what I see.
I'd say when you're talking with students, to me, the thing to remember is you don't have to know everything, And so I always say, like, even when I do stuff for the ASU family with my wife, I talk with other families. When people ask me advice, I say the same thing. Be honest, be empathetic. And if you don't know, you don't know. You don't have to know. The last thing you want to do is provide okay advice. So if you're not sure, say you're not sure, and maybe go ask some folks and follow back up with the student. But you don't have to know everything. There are things that students ask me that I don't know what to tell them, because sometimes it comes down to what they want. And so more so, I just try to get them to think more about what are you really looking for. I can't tell you the answer to some questions. But yeah, be honest, be empathetic. If you don't know, you don't know. Just let the student know. If you think you can find out, certainly find out and follow up. But you don't have to know everything. And I think sometimes when people think about mentors, are like, oh, it's like some wise person that knows all the answers. If that's somebody's opinion of themselves, maybe find a different mentor, is what I think.
Thank you all for your responses to some of those questions. I hope not just our panelists, but also our audience had learned a little bit more about ASU Mentor Network, the mentorship, and just overall enjoyed the conversation that we have. So that concludes the discussion portion of our panel. So prior to opening the Q&A portion, I wanted to give our audience members a few moments just to kind of think about some questions you may want to ask our panelists. If there are any questions you want to ask, please use the chat feature to submit your questions, and we will make sure to answer those during the Q&A portion. And then while the audience members are thinking of some possible questions they want to ask you three, if you would like to provide your contact information to our audience as well, you're welcome to drop that information in the chat feature. And then you can continue any additional conversations after concluding the event. But we'll just give our audience about another minute or two to if they have any questions. But I want to thank our three panelists for joining today. It was great to kind of speak with you all and to kind of get more insight into the ASU Mentor Network. Like I mentioned, the event is recorded, so we will share the recording out after the event for you to review. And then if you have any questions about either topic, please feel free to connect with me, and I'll be happy to help support you in any way. But now I'm going to open it up to our audience and see if there might be any questions that you may have for any three of our panelist members. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions for our panelist members. If there are any questions that are forwarded to me after the event, I definitely will reach out with those questions. But I hope everyone has a great afternoon. I want to thank you, both our panelists and our audience, for joining today's virtual coffee chat series. Like I mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with me. But I hope everyone has a great rest of your Monday and a great week. Go Sun Devils.
See ya.
Yes, yeah.